This is Greg with CMMS Radio, and we are at the Reliable Plant Conference out in Orlando, Florida. This is the 25th year anniversary of this event. I just stopped by the Eruditio booth. Later on, we're going to be talking to Shon on CMMS Radio, but we want to say hello to Katie Sanders. How you doing, Katie?
I'm doing great today. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I just wanted to ask you, so far, have you had a good experience coming to conference?
I have. It's been wonderful so far, getting to meet new people, getting to network, and learn more about reliability, of course.
And you guys play a big role in that. You work with a lot of people in the industry, so this is kind of like a little bit of a reunion with all these friends and contacts, right?
It is, yeah. So UE Systems, RDI, everybody else that's here. We've done several conferences with them before, so it is a little bit of a reunion, yeah.
Here are some sound bites from Shon Isenhour of Eruditio, presenting Back to Basics, applying mountain man wisdom to achieve reliability.
You can't really articulate why we're doing this, and I'll talk more about that in a minute, but if you can't clearly articulate why we're doing this, then I would suggest to you that other initiatives will take your place before you're able to show results. Now here's something else that I have seen, and I have seen this, I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or if because I'm just seeing more of it, I don't know why. But the other half of what I'm seeing right now, and I want to know how many of you would agree with this within your organization. What I'm seeing is we're doing a lot of good work and not getting a lot of good results. Show of hands. Doing a lot of good work. Man, I did FMEAs and PMs and optimization, and the storerooms got bill of materials, but we are not seeing the return we were hoping for. Okay. Now, again, I'm seeing that more often right now, and I think that stems from not having a good plan. First things first, redirection. You're going to have to change some ways that people are thinking. All right? What's been expected in the past? What's been acceptable in the past? All right? If your culture has always celebrated the firefighter and never the guy that prevented the fire, that may be one of the first things you have to tackle. Don't get me wrong. We all live in the real world, and we will still have to live in that reactive environment for quite some time. But you've got to figure out at least how to insert the and such that we also look for the folks that are eliminating the problems. Look for the guy that's using torque specs. Look for the guy that's using alignment standards. Look at the guy who's using a Barrett heater instead of a 10-pound sledgehammer. All right, and reward those folks because they're preventing downtime in the future. All right, next one. Got to break a bunch of old norms. Well, I've been doing this way for 37 years. How many of you heard that one? All right, the numbers get bigger and smaller as people retire. All right, but yep. So when you think about it, you're going to fight that battle. Here's one of the things I'll tell you, though, and I'm jumping around a little bit, so kind of bear with me, but here's one of the things I'll tell you. The way equipment was designed and built 20 years ago is not the way equipment's built today. So, yes, you could beat a bearing on with a hammer back in the 80s. You absolutely could. Was it best practice? No, but you could do it. Why?
Because it worked times.
Who said that? Oh, the backer roll. I've got prizes I'm neglecting to give out. These are patent pending BS flags. You can use them in your organization in order to change culture. It also can be career limiting. But nonetheless, if somebody says something you don't like, you just throw it at them, right? All right. So I'll be handing these out for the rest of the session. But yeah, when you look at these situations, right, the way they designed equipment back then was robust and over-engineered. And today it's servo-driven and value-engineered. Everybody agree? Yeah. Right? Back in the day, you could take a cam-driven machine and push it off the back of a flatbed. It'd run just fine. Today, you hit a piece of equipment with your hip on the way through the area, and it doesn't run for 3 weeks. Right? So if your mechanic is saying to you, I've been doing it that way for 37 years, your answer becomes, but that's not 37-year-old equipment. We are in a different world. Precision maintenance is actually very, very important. All right? We'll talk more. Hope somebody's keeping me honest on time. It's a little like church up here. All right. So with that said, the next thing I want to talk about, and this is something you can take back with you right now, and this is what I believe is a really, really good model to get some things started. It's called the ADCAR model. How many of you are familiar with ADCAR? Okay, good. About 5 or 7 of us. So ADCAR, very simple. Awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. All right, it was developed by a gentleman by the name of Jeffrey Hyatt. He's part of his company is based down here in Florida. It's called ProSci. All right, he studied change for years. He doesn't care what the change is. It can be anything. And so he developed this model. He and I spent some time together years ago, and I learned a lot about this model, and I believe it's one of the best individual change models there is to get things started within your organization. All right? So if I've got to get first followers, if I've got to get my posse, I've got to get my team, right? If I've got to get that group together, the very first thing I've got to do is go to them individually and give them awareness of what the change is. What is it? Describe it. Charter can help. I'm not saying you hand the charter to them, all right? But if you've got that charter, that's your speaking. That's your point you're going to make. The second step is desire. So now I'm going to look at you, Jonathan, and I'm going to say, hey, John, this is going to make your job easier, and here's the 4 reasons why. That's all. Jonathan's in, man. He in the posse already, right? We're ready to go. We're going to do this. All right? I'm going to need a purchase order and a couple more things, but we'll get there. All right. No, but if you look at that desire piece, we know the what's in it for them kind of idea, right? We know we need to do that, but sometimes it's not clearly articulated. Or quite frankly, sometimes there isn't a good desire builder. So there's the carrot and there's the stick. Not every time are you going to be able to use the carrot because there just may not be. You know, if you're talking about your maintenance technicians and you're telling them that you want them to put failure codes in the CMMS system, is there really anything they're going to get from that necessarily? I mean, not directly. It's going to be a little hard to articulate, right? But do we need it? Yeah. Absolutely. As reliability engineers and maintenance engineers, we don't need it. We got to have it, right? It's our way to sort through the massive amounts of data and understand where we've got organizational issues that are driving unreliability, right? So sometimes it will be the carrot, the positive, and sometimes you're simply going to have to look them in the eyes and say, hey, buddy, you like working here? All right? Now, that's one option. Maybe not the best. HR may not like it. All right? But it's the stick. It's the other side. It's the negative side. It's, look, dude, I don't have a choice. I'm sorry. We got to do this. This is the new way we're doing business, and here are the reasons it's going to help the organization. I understand it's more work for you, but the organization needs you to do it. All right? So that's the D. The next one is knowledge. All right? If you have not created desire, you cannot impart knowledge. All right? Now, the universities, I'll talk about that in a few minutes, they love to sell some knowledge, right? But at the end of the day, if I first don't have a desire, you can pour it on me, but it's like water off a duck's back, right? Runs right back where it was. So we've got to get desire first. How many of you have shown up for a class with absolutely no desire? All right, me too. Me too. It was an old SAP class. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. No, I didn't. And I still probably can't use SAP as well as I should. All right, but I've got to have desire before knowledge. Then I can train you on how to do it. But here's the sad thing. Everybody thinks knowledge is the answer. Now, I own a training company. So knowledge is pretty important. All right? I'd love to sell you something. But at the end of the day, here's what I think we do different. We take it to the next step. We want to see ability. With us, you have a coach. With us, you have a project. With us, you're applying that PM optimization to the PMs in your area. You're applying that FMEA to a real asset or that job plan library that you're building. All of those because that's ability. That's ability. Knowledge without ability actually has very little value. Is that fair? Universities hate when I say that. But it's the truth. Until you can do something different with that education, there is no real return on investment. Now, the last one after ability is to battle entropy. How many of you have backslid from a reliability standpoint over the last few years? All right? So if you've experienced that, you've experienced entropy, right? You're returning back to the low energy state. You're going back where you started. So the last step in the ACRAR model is reinforcement. What are you doing to lock it into the culture? This could be business processes. This could be metrics, which I'll talk about later. It could be a lot of things, but what are you doing specifically to lock the change you're making into the new organization? All right?
Be sure to check out Mountain Man Wisdom, an interview we did on CMMS Radio with Shon Isenhour from Reliable Plant. You can find that on Spotify or wherever you consume podcasts.